It's been getting close to 3 years since I last looked at a Wii game, and that was also a Doctor Who game. Although in this case, coming back from such a long time away from the console with this game feels like I'm doing the Wii a massive disservice. It's Doctor Who Return to Earth, a game I've owned for nearly a decade before this playthrough, but never played. This was released the same day as the DS game, Doctor Who Evacuation Earth. I have played that game all the way back in 2011 and found it decent, but I've heard nothing good about this one. Before I even get started on the game, I have to bring up the game screen on the Wii menu. It plays the Doctor Who theme for Series 1 to 3, one that never plays during Matt Smith's era. And speaking of music, the game contains music from the show, so I'm just going to play music from other games instead. On starting a new game, I get the loading screen for Chapter 1, Meteor Dash. We then get the opening from the show as if it was an actual episode, confirming that Matt Smith and Karen Gillan were brought on to voice the 11th Doctor and Amy Pond. I wonder if this will get flagged as being footage from the show. You can definitely tell where the footage ends and the game begins when the TARDIS comes spinning on screen. The Doctor bigs up Jupiter while picking up a strange signal from near it. The voice acting isn't great from our main stars, but compared to their performances in the adventure games from earlier that year, it's an improvement. Although I bet with both games they were just shoved in a room and given one take each and half an hour to record the entire game's dialogue. The Doctor manoeuvres the TARDIS past these meteors and lands on a starship in the middle. He sends Amy out in a spacesuit to open the cargo bay so that he can park properly. I'm shown the switch I need to reach and I'm given control. A fun fact about this game is that it's so clunky that even moving in a straight line feels awkward as hell. It doesn't help when the camera will just snap to a different angle, leaving you confused as to where exactly you are. I navigate around the pipes and avoid meteors to reach the switch within the time limit. But then several meteors hit the TARDIS at once and send it flying off into space. The Doctor says he managed to get out in time, but the TARDIS is just floating around the ship. Amy says they need to meet up and asks where the Doctor is, to which he says that he is in Cargo Bay 14. This leads to Chapter 2, Brothers and Sisters. Amy is inside while the Doctor says that he's patched into the security cameras to guide her. He also talks about how there's no one on the ship as we get a good up close look at the character models of this 2010 Wii game. They did Karen Gillan dirty giving her those soulless black gaping void eyes, but she didn't get the worst of it. There's a counter in the bottom right corner showing me how far I am from the Doctor. I head forward a little and get this weird machine talking to me. He asks me to put the fire nearby out as all the safety staff have run off. She says I can do so with this crystal sound projector, the main mechanic of the game. Basically there are these hologram faces of differing colours that I need to collect crystals from similar machines to use on. But they make it a pain by giving them sight and making you have to stealth around them to get a crystal. When grabbing a crystal I have to hold A to enter a first person mode, then charge a shot with B or Z to shoot. The charging noise is horrendous by the way. Behind the fire is a locked door with a blue marker hovering over it. The machine lets me know that her blue brother is up a nearby ramp. First I have to get rid of the fire to get up there. I grab a blue crystal while being told I can use a C button to hide. I continue to explore this upper floor first, getting rid of another fire. Behind it is a machine that grants me 20 of some currency. I'll talk about that later. Back downstairs I shoot the blue marker and open the door. It triggers the broken circuits minigame. I hate these. First I have to unscrew the screws on this panel. You'd think, considering pointer controls were nailed on the Wii at launch, that this game released 4 years into the Wii's life would also nail pointer controls. It doesn't. I assume the developers were given 3 days to make the entire game. I have to use the control stick to move this photon through the maze to the end. On the way are circuits I have to fix with my bootleg sonic screwdriver. Right now it's mainly to stop doors from rapidly slamming shut on me. There's only 2 doors before I reach the end though. My remaining crystals are then converted into more money. The door opens and I start Chapter 3, Friendly Robots. Amy has gone out of range for the Doctor, so we're playing as him now. If you think they did Karen Gillan dirty, look what they did to Matt Smith. Through the door and down the stairs to find a few fires. The Doctor mumbles that something might be diverting the ship's power. That's when a robot comes through the door I entered from. It's a maintenance robot with intent to kill. Of course, the Doctor lets it cover a huge distance before he decides to get moving. I take a red crystal and run around the corner to get rid of the fire in front of this door to open it. Into the kitchen I can see a door with a green marker at the other end. The machine with the green crystal is up on a higher floor. I grab a red one nearby and run around the kitchen to avoid the other robot in here and put out the fire surrounding this purple crystal machine. There's a purple marker above these platforms above me. I have a huge struggle getting the aiming right on this thing since the target is moving. There's a lift nearby I can ride up to these platforms and cross them as they move to reach the next floor of the kitchen. I can get a green crystal and that's where I discover that this Doctor can't take his heights well, as an 8 foot or so drop makes him drop dead instantly. Next time I get back down safely and shoot the door open. Through it is my first orange crystal machine. I use it on this moving target over this fence after several attempts over about 4 minutes. It opens a gate and allows me to grab this money. I go through the door next to the machine to reach the bar. There's another robot in here that I sneak past to grab the money behind the bar. There's a blue marker in here, but the only machine is purple. But through a door to the side is a purple marker and some platforms. I don't realise I filled my projector yet and get confused trying to find the purple one, getting killed by a robot and phasing through a snooker table. Next time I realise and shoot the marker to make the platform move over this pit, along with the next one so I can cross it to the blue crystal machine. I shoot the door and end up doing another circuit minigame. Now there are fast propellers spinning that I have to fix and then time my movement right to get through it unscathed. Just 2 of these to reach the end. The door opens and leads into Chapter 4, Ivy. Straight ahead is a green marker in front of the door and a red crystal machine. I turn the corner to see an orange marker in front of another door and a red one that moves down the next corridor. What I didn't notice was the turret in the corner that shoots me when I get close by. Shooting the red marker turns off the turret, but when I try to pass, the marker comes back and it takes me a bit to realise that the turret is only turned off temporarily. The second marker is used for opening the next door leading to a room with another red crystal machine. There's a ramp going down where between me and the green crystal machine is a robot, turret and red marker. The marker turns the turret off, but it respawns before the turret is even active again, confusing me and getting me seen when trying to shoot it again. Next time I just run past them to stock up on green crystals and then get in the nearby lift. It takes me to a new room with an orange machine and another robot. There's another door leading to this cramped bedroom where the camera's constant changing leaves me lost for a bit until I find the money in here. Then comes the run back to the start to use my crystals, getting killed by the first turret on the way back. Next time I remember to turn the turret off and then shoot the orange marker to open the door leading to another bedroom with more money. I return to the green target and open the door. Once through it I get chased by a robot. I turn a corner to find a second one, so instead I run up the nearby stairs and through another door. There's another robot and both a yellow marker and machine in here. I shoot the marker but get killed on my way out of the room. I make it out next time into a lift and take it to this room with a big cannon and a blue marker over it. There's a nearby door with a fire to put out before I can reach the blue crystal machine. I shoot the marker leading to the doctor manning the cannon. I have 2 to use, one to shoot away approaching meteors and another to drag in metals, of which I need 6. This is also terrible. Your cursor doesn't even match up with where you'll shoot most of the time. That's because the cannon moves far slower than your cursor. Taking damage takes a blue crystal from you and you have to go collect more if you run out. I get it on my first try, but only after still getting hit thanks to the awful aiming. Now that the Doctor has tested the gravity scoops, he feels it shouldn't be too hard to modify them to retrieve the TARDIS. At this point, the ship's computer, Ivy, switches on. She already knows the Doctor and says that this ship is the SS Lucy Gray, which causes the Doctor to geek out. It's the first ship to return to Earth after the planet was hit by solar storms in the 26th century. Earth has been roasted by so many of these across the Doctor Who continuity between the ones mentioned in Ark in Space, The Beast Below, and now this, all in different centuries. The Doctor asks where all the colonists are if they're supposed to be returning to Earth, but Ivy doesn't know. The Doctor finds it a bit dodgy for the ship's computer to lose her crew and not know where they are. Ivy says they're probably around somewhere and goes to take a look, while the Doctor wonders how she knows who he is. He also wonders what Amy's getting up to. No animation for all this though, just the Doctor standing still, constantly scratching his head because that's just his normal idle animation. We move on to Chapter 5, Missing Crew. She's reached a room with a lot of fires and a million red markers, so I fully stock up from the machine. Past the first fire and as I stop to aim for the next marker, Amy gets sucked into the next fire and burns to death without actually touching it. So instead I just hang by the machine and shoot every red marker from the start of the area. There's a yellow marker nearby, but a robot close to it. The yellow machine is in the middle of the room and I use the crystals to hit the marker, distracting the robot so I can run around it and through the door it was blocking. As this goes on, Ivy starts telling Amy to go to sleep for her own good. The next room has a green door and a red crystal machine. I go up the ramps nearby finding a red marker without fire that ends up causing me damage after I shoot it. At the top are another red machine and a green one while Ivy repeats her demand that Amy go to sleep as another robot enters the room and starts coming up after me. This is where those red markers come in, as I time it just right to hit the robot and take it out. But more start coming up. I keep taking out more robots until they stop coming. I'm then free to grab a green crystal to open the door with. Next room has another robot with a blue machine and one that grants me a toy dog I can place on the ground to distract robots with. I place it so that it makes noise to attract the robot blocking the exit so I can get through. Through it is the blue marker and I fucking miss despite the shot clearly touching it. So I go back for another crystal and get shot to death by the robot. I get back next time and actually hit it for another circuit game. This one now has a copy of the photon mimicking my movements and will destroy it if it reaches me. I have a door and a propeller to fix before I reach the end. The door opens up to reveal this huge pillar covered in pods as Amy tells Doctor she's found the missing crew. Chapter 6, Meet the Leader. But at this point I was done for the night, so I went into the bonus content to spend my money on the gallery. You can't even buy anything until you wait for an eternity while the game loads every image one by one. Each image costs 40 of the currency, and going in order I get a bobble-headed Amy Pond, Amy in the spacesuit, and Out of the Room with a Cyberman in it. But back to chapter 6 where I'm playing as the Doctor again. To start with, there's a red machine to stock up with. I need it as on the opposite end of the room is another turret to stall. There are a few of these identical corridors where I have to stall a turret to run past it. Then they start adding the robots in, and look at this arsehole camping outside the door and waiting for me. I decide to just run for it since it's not budging, making it to the next door but getting killed by a turret at the last second. I make it through next time into a room with purple and orange machines. Past that is the lift going down. There's another item for distracting robots down here, an alarm clock. There's another robot and more turrets in the way of this purple marker. Distracting them isn't working, so I shoot the target from a distance and discover that the Doctor is immune to being shot when squatting in a vent. It's not interesting and I exit to the other side to find another purple machine. Into the next room and I have to shoot the target to turn off all the steam so I can run up this ramp. Then one of the pipes gets going again right away and kills me. Then I die trying to get back. I wonder why they didn't disable going into first person in the vents, considering it gets you seeing this mess. This attempt I make it past the steam and reach a room with a red machine. I walk into the next room and get a line that's going to haunt me with how many times I'm going to hear it.
Oh, this is good. Lots of dials and knobs and fiddly bits. Oh, but no big levers. I like big levers. Do I like big levers? I used to like big levers.
We have turrets on either side of the room and green platforms above. I get killed exploring the room and have to hear the Doctor ramble about big levers again. I run into the opposite end of the room to enter a lift going up to the next level where the green machine is. I get trying to shoot the targets downstairs, but I keep missing the orange one and have to let myself get killed to get them back. Big levers. I hit the orange one first next time to open a door to some money. Hitting this green arsehole on the other hand is a nightmare. It takes several attempts before I hit it to lower the platform. I stand on it for a turret to kill me as it starts rising. More unskippable big lever talk. Then I get killed trying to grab the money again. 3 more times. I like big levers. Do you like big levers? I fucking love big levers. Well, I suppose it's still not as obnoxious as Humany Woomany. I finally get up that platform to have a Cyberman appear on screen. The Cybermen in this game are clearly not voiced by Nick Briggs. The Doctor assumes the Cybermen were Ivy all along, but the Cyberman denies this. Ivy was instructed to kill all intruders, which she has failed to do. Ivy says her priority is to save the lives of the crew of the ship, so when the Cybermen showed up, she put the entire crew into stasis. She was only pretending to try to kill the Doctor all those times I got killed, so that the Cyber leader didn't shut her down and find the crew. She says she knows the Doctor as he's saved the ship once before, in the DS game released the same day, Doctor Who Evacuation Earth. As I said, I last played that game in 2011, so I missed this reference. Ivy tries to give the Doctor some advice, but the Cyber leader interrupts and deletes her, while she says that she doesn't want to be deleted. I just realised why Ivy looks so familiar. She looks and sounds like the "Where did you learn to fly" head from Cybermorph. The Cyber leader says that their ship was destroyed by a rogue artefact 300 years ago. The humans of this ship have accidentally salvaged them and now they are repaired. The Doctor has no reaction to this other than constantly scratching his head. He must have lice. He announces his intention to run and hide and then just awkwardly stands there doing nothing while the camera slowly pans to show a pair of Cybermen entering the room. A nearby door opens for me to run through while I Am the Doctor starts playing and fails to trick the player into thinking this is in any way exciting. I make a wrong turn and end up in a Cyberman's sights, dying from a shot in the back. I take the other turn next time, finding a blue machine next to a blue marker, meaning more annoying circuit games. A gate, a propeller and another gate before I reach the end. Through the door and into chapter 7, a late warning. The Doctor tries to warn Amy about the Cybermen too late as they enter the room she's in. As they march towards me, I have to stock up on red crystals and start putting out fires in the opposite direction. Past the first fire is a green machine that's a pain to sneak around. Thankfully, once the Cyberman catches up to me, it just turns around and looks the other way. I move ahead to the green marker and miss my shot. That Cyberman still isn't moving, so I have time for plenty more mistakes before I hit it and find a blue machine, with the marker being over the next door. And I miss again. But by now the Cyberman is moving again, so when I turn back to get more crystals, it kills me. I guess I was just lucky last time, as next time they don't get stuck and shoot me in the room with the blue machine. I hit the marker on my third try and have another circuit game. First I have 2 propellers at once to get around. Look at my cursor freaking out. That's not me doing that. Then there's the laser fences that disappear in a pattern when fixed. followed by another pair of propellers next to a box that opens the last door. But I get caught on a fan blade and destroyed. I then lose all the rest of my extra crystals on the fans before I finally reach the end. The door opens, I hear some zippers, and we move on to Chapter 8, Nowhere to Hide. Amy's now outside in her spacesuit. I see the sheer amount of red markers and steam pipes I'm going to have to deal with and instantly dread it. This is where I discover that despite the game cutting 6,000 corners, they decided to make sure the game included a defined arse on Amy's spacesuit. Priorities. I take some crystals and get rid of the first bit of steam, only for that to trigger the appearance of a Cyberman. I run down the stairs to find an orange machine and get another Cyberman after me. I get rid of a nearby fire and turn the corner hoping to find a red machine that doesn't have a Cyberman close by. Though I do find one, there's another Cyberman approaching. But I have no choice but to use this one. I get rid of the next fire to reach a green machine to use on the green marker in front of me to open the door to another fire and red machine. I see the nearby stairs and try to climb them since the steam is obviously nowhere near them. But the collision was, so I die. You could say this one was my fault, but come on, you can't blame a person for losing patience with this game. Next time the awkward aiming slows me down enough to be killed by one of the Cybermen. Next time I get rid of the steam. I can go up the stairs now, but continuing to turn off more pipes leads to some money. Then up the stairs while a Cyberman follows to a blue machine to use on the door. Within seconds I lose both my crystals to the copy photon rubbing against me while I'm trying to fix the propeller. When I come back with more, I make it past the propeller, then pass a second to reach the end. However, I don't get through the door as the Cybermen catch up and shoot, sending Amy floating off into space. But who cares about that as we go back to the Doctor for Chapter 9, An Unusual Find. The Doctor rambles about cyber technology while I slip into a 5-foot hole which is too much for the Doctor to climb out of, so he dies right there. I am not fond of this game. There's a series of red markers over some steam and a single green one with both machines nearby. I deal with all the steam from a distance and then shoot the green one to open this door. The Doctor sees the source of the signal and panics at the sight of those familiar bumps, wondering why he didn't recognise it before. I grab some purple crystals and shoot the marker above the cage to lift it off and seal the blue part of the machine inside, opening up the vent to escape through. In the room the vent leads to, Ivy calls out to the Doctor. The cyber leader couldn't delete her system permanently. She asks if the Doctor knows what the source of the signal is, to which he says that it's a Dalek time axis, granting their ship's time travel. He says that the Cybermen probably locked onto the signal unaware that it would be incompatible with their technology. They used the signal to lure in humans for conversion, not knowing that they could also lure in the Daleks. Ivy then reminds the Doctor that he needs to save Amy as she unlocks the nearby door for him. It leads to a lift leading to a room with a Cyberman below and a purple marker above. There was no way to safely check the end of this path, and so the Doctor falls off the edge while staying perfectly still and I lose most of my health. Lucky for me, the Cyberman is staring at this yellow marker in confusion. It too is probably thinking, of all possible ideas you could have for a Doctor Who game, they went with just shooting multicoloured emojis. I shoot the marker and it accomplishes nothing. The Cyberman sees me trying to hide and kills me. I try to shoot the purple marker this time to activate the platforms and get down with no damage, but run out of crystals, so I just drop down again and run past the Cyberman and through the door without being seen. There's a blue marker in here and they single Cyberman to sneak by. To the right is a laptop I can use to distract it and a fire to get rid of. This leads to a room with 2 more Cybermen and a blue machine up top. I see all these yellow markers and I just can't be arsed anymore. So I lightly jog by the Cybermen as they fail to shoot me and I get on this lift in the middle. Apparently lifts are too much for this 2010 game and it tanks the frame rate. I get a blue crystal and jog back past all the Cybermen to shoot that marker. Another circuit game. I lose my 1 crystal on the first propeller trying to stay away from the clone photon. I then die on the way back to get more. I get back next time and have to navigate past 2 propellers, a gate, lasers, 2 more propellers, another gate and more lasers to reach the end. The door opens and we start chapter 10, saving Amy. But that was where I left it that night as I was so fed up. I buy a picture of the room with several Ivy faces. Chapter 10 the next night. To start with, there's a purple machine and marker further on. It opens up a vent to the left that leads to red and purple machines. That's because the next room has a purple marker and 4 red ones. I think I've got to shoot them all out within enough time from each other before they reactivate. There's also the fact they put the red one so far in the back close to this fire that it's very easy to burn to death just trying to stay out of its sight. I don't know why the stealth aspect to collecting the crystals was even added. All it does is pad out a few extra seconds and increase the player's blood pressure. I hit them all next time, ending with the purple one, setting off a lot of steam and getting myself killed again. So next time I hit the purple one first, and then start on the red ones to turn off the steam. I trusted the game that the steam only covering 1/2 of the walkway after hitting 2 markers meant it was safe. My trust was foolish. I mean, look at this, it's nowhere fucking near me. But I get through next time to end up in this top-down maze with Cybermen wandering around. Sometimes you don't even need to think about avoiding them, other times they stand right in your way and don't move for an eternity, as when I want to get the money in the top left corner. Or they only cover an area that's too small to leave room for you to get past, so I just have to run past their faces. Once I reach the bottom right corner of the maze, they detect me and send out a kill squad. There's a green machine nearby and the exit to a green marker that opens a door to another gravity scoop. But I have no blue crystals to work it. There is a red machine and a door nearby to 3 red markers as I get a 10-minute time limit and told that Amy's oxygen is at 50%. Once again I waste my crystals on the markers before the thing they switch off has even started yet. The platform I'm standing on takes its time to get moving and waits until I've used up most crystals, leading to the steam that doesn't appear until the platform gets moving to kill me. At this point, I'm sick of markers being visible and shootable before their function is even available. Either have the steam always visible so I know, or don't have the markers appear until the steam does as well so I can't waste my crystals. Next time I barely make it through, as the first marker decides it just doesn't want to be shot as my cursor kept disappearing while charging. I reach the ending to the next room where Cybermen are back. I stock up on crystals and get in the nearby lift going up, then take a few steps to another going down in the new room. I shoot the red marker just as this Cyberman passes to cause an explosion and knock it on its arse. Up the stairs is the blue machine and another item for distracting. As I go to leave, 2 more Cybermen show up through the door. The item is a bomb and I use it to take them out. However, on the way back, I get steam once again show up after I shoot the target and it kills me. But next time I make it back and activate the gravity scoop. This time I'm still pushing away meteors, but I only have the one Amy to pull in when she floats by. Amy shows up after a minute, but the slow movement of my cannons results in me running out of crystals when the fuckers just refuse to aim at what I'm aiming at. So I have to go through all that again for more crystals. And the same thing happens again. It seems as if some meteors are just impossible to aim at if they're too far to a certain side. I end up dying on the way back to get more. Then the Cybermen kill me on the way back with the crystals. But when I finally get another chance, I manage to pull her in. It also didn't help that she's such a tiny target that it's so hard to get her with the scoop in the first place. The Cyber Leader has had enough, but not as much as I have, and says that the Doctor will be brought before it to explain what he knows about the artifact. We see some Cybermen walking through a corridor and the camera moves away from the Doctor so his capture doesn't have to be animated. Chapter 11, Sacrifice. We're back in this room but as Amy, with Ivy calling her over. I head over to the spot the Doctor spoke with her. Ivy says that as they bring the Doctor to the leader, all the Cybermen will be in one place. Amy needs to remove a primary engine core, the source of the Cyber Leader's power, from the circuit. This also risks erasing Ivy, but there is a secondary core that could reboot her automatically if they're lucky. With the connection broken, the leader should not be able to control the ship anymore, and control should pass back to Ivy. She opens a nearby door and I go through. This is the same corridor I ran through as the Doctor, but this time I'm going left at the fork. There's a red machine on the way, followed by avoiding steam and crossing moving platforms to find a purple machine. I return to the red machine and go through another door to find purple and red markers to cross some platforms and put a fire out with. Never mind the game freaking out at me wanting to just aim in this place. At the end is a green machine. With green crystals I have to return to the spot I started this chapter to shoot the green marker and open this door. I enter the next corridor only to get shot dead by a turret. I stun it next time and run around more steam, running through the corridors to find red and purple machines on the way to a purple marker operating platforms to an orange machine. Then I die on the way back from more steam. There's a side route on the way back with more moving platforms leading to a blue machine. Back in the main room with Ivy, I shoot the orange target up above to open a door to some money, then the blue target below Ivy for another circuit minigame. I go through a gate and lose my crystal to the first fan. Now I have to go back and get another, with there being another death in between attempts. I lose another crystal to the fans but get them next time. 2 sets of lasers before I get rushed into another fan and lose another crystal. Get past them next time and I reach the end. The computer is blown and a chunk of the ship bursts off. Ivy comes back on and says that the crew are safe. The core I shut down contained her personality program and so she's speaking even more robotically. I was more shocked she even had a programmed personality in the first place because I never picked up on any from her. Ivy lied about there being a way to save the Doctor, to save the crew. The chunk that broke off contained all the Cybermen and the Doctor with them. Chapter 12, Doom of the Cybermen. But this was where I had had enough for that night after those last 2 chapters taking a combined hour. I next buy some Cyber Leader art, which is clearly not a leader in this game since it lacks the black bars on the helmet. I also get a picture of the Cyberman model. The strange bobblehead art style makes it look more like a kid in a Halloween costume. But back to the Doctor on the jettisoned part of the ship. The camera angle here just makes everything look weird, with the Cyber Leader sat off in the corner like an ignored grandad. I grab some crystals from the machine and shoot the purple marker to open up a vent. It leads to a room with a red machine and marker that turns off a turret. There's a lot of platforms above them and I run around looking for a lift with a purple marker, which has a Cyberman just standing in front gawking at it. I lure the Cyberman away with a laptop and take the lift up, then cross several purple platforms to reach another door. Even more platforms to cross to a ramp covered in steam I have to get rid of to reach a green machine. Then back down the ramp, take a lift down to the floor, lure the Cyberman away from this door to grab some nearby money, and shoot the green marker to open the door. I run through and I'm told there are 2 minutes before a massive explosion. There's a door in front of me but no blue crystals to open it with, so I get running all the way up this ramp, unaware there's a Cyberman at the top who guns me down. I get killed next time, and on the third I'm just lucky enough to run past it. But after grabbing a blue crystal I end up dropping off the nearby platform and dying anyway. There's this purple marker in the air that gets lifted at the bottom moving. So when I get the blue crystals I need, I can ride the platforms to safely get down and deal with the next circuit minigame. First I go down past this propeller to reach a red switch that opens red doors. One of them was nearby leading to a blue switch to open blue doors. But I get taken out by the propeller because I can't fix it again from here, or so I think. After another failed attempt I manage to just barely fix it again and get through. Then to the right past some lasers to find a yellow switch so I have to go down. Next there are these spinning red things to avoid, with the switch to slow them down being past the first one. At the end is the yellow switch. Through it I have more of them to avoid and I lose another crystal. I get past them next time and have to navigate past a few more, but one takes me out because I didn't react in time. I get past that one and wonder how long this one is going to be when I get more lasers and then another propeller. But as I get past it, I lose my last crystal getting caught on the second one. I try getting more but the timer runs out and the doctor drops dead from an invisible explosion. 5 minutes later I'm back and get past those propellers to open a gate leading to more lasers and past them, finally, the end. That was awful. Every night I played this game it managed to reach new lows. The door opens and the cyber leader is too lazy to get out of its chair while the ship explodes around it. It doesn't even react when engulfed in flames. We cut to the doctor outside in a spacesuit telling Amy that it's over. Until he turns around and sees a Dalek saucer behind himself. Chapter 13, Dalek Invasion. Amy's in a copy of the Chapter 2 room with the gravity scoop. It's just like the last one except I have to pull in the doctor after a minute. It immediately kicks me out though because I don't have any blue crystals. It also gives me a game over. So did Amy just die of shame or something? I spend a few minutes checking every corner of this room but I just can't find the blue machine. I quit out in the hopes it might have just been a glitch. I reload and nope. Know what the issue was? The gravity scoop grants you a free blue crystal when you start it, but they also put a red crystal machine next to it, so first time I fully stocked up on red crystals and had no space for the free blue one, so the game got confused and just killed me instead. It takes 2 attempts to pull the doctor in. He stays outside saying that he needs to find the gravity scoop controls as the ship can't hold off the Daleks for long and he needs to destroy the time axis before the Daleks can get it back. He plans to fire it into the sun. Once the doctor floats into a different section, a Dalek drone appears. Honestly the best model in the game. It looks at least very early budget PS2 quality, which is far better than I can say for anyone else. A Dalek blocks the way out, but shooting the red target above it sets its scalp on fire and lets me get past. Amy spots the TARDIS flying by the window. The doctor says that he's at the gravity warp but it has no power, and he needs Amy to get to the directional panels in the cargo bay so the remaining power can be redirected there. Ivy can't do it because her systems have been knocked out and the Daleks are cutting off whatever power she has. So I now have to run across this top-down sports hall to find the blue crystal at the northern end and get through the door to use it on the marker. Now I have another one of these. Lasers followed by a second set of lasers and I get smashed by the duplicate following me while trying to fix a propeller. Next time I ram into the propeller but I get past it next time followed by 2 more, then more lasers, a gate and another propeller before the end. Chapter 14, TARDIS. Amy runs into the next room where there's another Dalek. I sneak past it into the next room where I'm shown more moving platforms and purple markers. Amy is just as irritated from looking at this room as I am. I run to the right to drop an alarm clock near this Dalek to get it out of the way so I can stock up on purple crystals. I panic when it turns back around and run off the edge, making Amy die on contact with an invisible floor. I get some next time and shoot the marker nearby to get some platforms moving. Cue a lot of awkward camera angled moving platform crossing while getting a good look at this hideous water. There's a lot of it and it's boring and I reach the other side of the room. Then up this ramp to cross even more platforms to reach a green machine. Then this horrendous camera angle while I'm looking for the green marker leading to my death. I'm so thankful to be checkpointed at the green machine. I ride the platform to the middle of this area and ride another one up and do the most tedious waiting to cross several platforms one at a time. Then I can finally reach the green marker and open that door. There's a blue machine here next to another gravity scoop. I have to wait a minute and then pull in the TARDIS. I actually manage it first time. Amy says one line and the camera just lingers on them for a bit until it fades. Chapter 15, Unwelcome Guests. But first the shop, as that last hour exhausted me. A drawing of the Cyberman model and the Dalek model. Then the next night's recording where I finally finished this thing. There's a purple machine right in front of me, but this Dalek's fat ass is taking up the entire walkway. So I plant an alarm clock and stock up while it's distracted. I run off to the site to find this shaft full of platforms and the purple marker floating around the place. It's nowhere near me and moves in a huge circle, making it an absolute nightmare to hit even if the pointer controls in this game weren't total wank. But eventually I hit it and I have to navigate another atrocious camera angle and also some platforms. There's also a timer, but I make it down first try only to find I need to distract another Dalek to get through the next door. I reach a hangar containing the Dalek saucer and ride a lift down. And it drops me into a big group of Daleks. Luckily, these are the defective ones who can't hear me running behind them. I grab a blue crystal and the timer runs out with nothing happening as I go up the opposite lift. Time for another of these things. I start right in front of the propeller, then pass a red door to another where I can't find a switch and lose my only crystal. I get some more and I just can't figure it out. This is where I realise that there is a camera move function. The game tells you this back on the first of these, but you never need to use it until now around the end of the game, so I'd long forgotten. I slow the propeller, press the red switch and go through the red door, then comes 3 spinny things to navigate and then a gate to open, followed by lasers. I reach a blue door and next to it is a pair of propellers to get past and a gate to find the blue switch. But the gate slams shut on me and destroys the photon. I do it all again and pass through the blue door to be stopped by a yellow door, so it's past another propeller for the yellow switch. Then the spinning things, then more lasers, then 2 propellers leading to more lasers leading to a green door. So I have to go back through the propellers and through a gate to reach the green switch, so I can go back and go through the green door to reach the end of the circuit. And I never have to do one of these horrible, boring fucking things ever again. But the worst is yet to come with Chapter 16, Final Showdown. Through the door there's a red machine to use on a few markers to set Daleks on fire with. Don't get caught because they are an instant kill. Not even the green skeleton effect, just falling over dead. By the way, if you haven't read the Target novelisation of the 9th Doctor episode Dalek, I really recommend it. It just popped into my head because it has a section that goes into detail of exactly what being shot by a Dalek does to a person's body on the inside and how it feels. That really stuck with me. It's a much more worthwhile time than playing this. After a couple failures, I get past the Daleks and through this door. Both sides of the corridor are on fire and so I have to crawl through another vent. Once I get out, I accidentally get an extreme close-up of the Doctor's face. Why did they do this to him? I don't remember Matt Smith's eyes being sunken halfway into his skull. It's here that the Doctor realises he's been here before in the past, but in his future, and in a better game. The photos along the wall are of characters from Evacuation Earth. I forgot they had their own brunette woman called Tina Lockhart. I honestly don't know if the name was a deliberate reference or a coincidence. Must be when she's alongside a Jake Pliskin. I stock up on some orange crystals and crawl through another vent. To the left is an orange marker that gets a platform moving to some money. To the right, we have the absolute worst part of this game. I'm on a moving platform inching towards 4 Daleks, all with purple markers above their heads. I have to shoot all of them down. If I run out of crystals, tough, the platform will keep moving towards them and get me killed. Remember how awful aiming is in this game and consider I'm moving at the same time. If you have full on other crystals, too bad, you can't move back to the machine, you have to die. And of course there's other issues around here, like this. Next time, I try being sneaky. I move onto the platform with the machines and stay there getting constant refills while I shoot down all the Daleks. However, the moving platform goes off on its own and doesn't come back, leaving me stranded here. But trying to do it legit just isn't working. I always miss and run out, getting me killed by the 2 in the back. The worst part was when I took down 3 of the 4 and missed my final shot. That happened 3 times in a row. In the end, it took 20 minutes to shoot all 4 Daleks down. They just float there. But then this happens. Another almost 10 minutes to get back there, and I almost have a heart attack when the Doctor gets stuck and won't get off the platform. But I manage it and move on to the next room. Then there's one last purple marker to shoot here, and one more blue one. The Dalek Supreme, also clearly not Nick Briggs, brags about how with the time axis, no moment in time is safe from the Daleks, as I plan to erase all of a life and remake every planet in the universe in Scaro's image. They force the Doctor to hand over the time axis, off screen of course, and take off. But with the boosting of the gravity scoop, the Doctor's plan to send the time axis into the sun goes off, the Dalek saucer with it. We then see a completely static Doctor and Amy in front of the TARDIS as the Doctor explains how they just won. The ship arrives at a clean Earth, and the Doctor and Amy decide to take off while Ivy wakes up the crew. The two say their goodbyes to Amy as the TARDIS fades away, and that's it. I go back to the gallery after the credits and find I can afford no more pictures, of which I'm still missing 10. I cannot get them, as there is actually not enough money in the game to buy them all, and they don't carry over to later save files. You know what that means? I can stop now. The game is done. The game is absolute dog shit. I cannot imagine spending full price for this game back in 2010 and getting this. I mean, you've seen it all with me. The awful graphics, the most basic of basic gameplay that still doesn't function right, shitty collision, awful minigames, and the fact that this Doctor Who game's main gimmick is just standing by machines for a few seconds just to shoot at emojis. I feel bad for the people who had to make this game. I cannot imagine how little time or budget they had to work on this thing with. There is just nothing redeemable about this game. I have not experienced every single piece of Doctor Who media out there, but I think this may be the absolute worst. It's certainly worse than any episode of the show or its spin-offs. Yes, including whichever episode you personally have a weird grudge against years later that you can't let go of and never shut up about. No exceptions. In fact, I can definitely say that this is the worst game I have ever played, and I hate that. Not because the worst game I've ever played is based on a series I love so much, but because this is the third worst game I've ever played within the last 100 games, after Math Grand Prix and then Fight. When I started this channel, I wanted to avoid being one of those channels who comes out every couple of months with more and more hyperbolic, "This is definitely for sure the newest worst game ever." But it's not like I could predict it. None of these 3 games I'd played before, and while I knew 2 of them had negative receptions, that did not guarantee the same would be true for me. I might have to rectify this in future with more games I've played before that I know I like, but at the very least, I can't imagine finding anything worse than this anytime soon. I also feel like I've done the Wii dirty. I wanted to showcase quite a few good Wii games when I decided to do this channel, considering how many good games it has that were overlooked or just looked down on thanks to the hardcore snobbery of the late 2000s and early 2010s. And so far it's just been one good one with Pandora's Tower, and 2 Doctor Who games, 1 mediocre Top Trumps adaptation, and this. But that's the issue when I have so many games and too much choice. Plans get pushed aside and distractions happen. I'll leave it at that though. I was going to go into my thoughts on Matt Smith's era of Doctor Who like I did with David Tennant's in the Top Trumps video, but this is such a negative video, and there are other games starring the 11th Doctor, at least one I know is better, so I'll save those thoughts for a more positive video that deserves them.